He said he's going home. I said, okay. He said, would you like to go? I said, And the next thing I knew, I was on the other side of the world in Africa, in Liberia, his home, experiencing the inauguration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first woman to lead an African nation. I went to his village. I saw the place he called home post-war. Tonight, we share that journey with you. I'm Deborah Crable, and I share with you Patrick Woodtor.
The ancestors are here with me.
They are here?
Yeah.
How do you know they're here?
Because since I went back home, I've connected with them. Their spirits are with me, and everything I do, they are part of my destiny from now on.
Liberia is no longer a place of conflict, war, and deprivation. We are no longer the country our citizens want to run away from. Our international partners pity, and our neighbors fear. We have earned our rightful place as a beacon of democracy.
Connecting with the ancestors simply has to do with you being spiritually aligned with your inner being and knowing that you exist because there were people who existed before you. I knew I was going to a different space because it had been 22 years and I've not been to Liberia. And the country had gone through some dramatic changes. They went through 16 years of war, and then after the war, people came back to Liberia, and I understood that the country was going through very, very fast changes. There were a lot of young people, and so I knew it would be different for me.
Driving down the streets of Monrovia, all of the billboards, all of the signs speak to the nation's mission, to unify as one. What is the possibility of bringing together 16 tribes to be unified as one?
I'm not certain. I think it would take some more time to heal the wounds because too many things happen. And some of the elements who were involved in the destruction of the country are in power today.
What were those elements and what led to the destruction?
The war, the people who fought the war, the young people who were recruited to fight as soldiers, they were child soldiers. The people who led those kids, some of them are the richest people in Liberia today, some of them are leadership positions. And so people know those things, and you can call for reconciliation all you want, but people have to make genuine effort and time. It would take time to really reach that point.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is she the one? She's calling for unity. Do you think she is the one for now?
It was a really destructive war. It killed, I understand, 300,000 people. It touched almost everybody who was Liberian. But I think in Liberia they say when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffer. And it was the poor people who really suffer. There were just atrocities committed. The rich people left the country and paid for people to kill themselves or fight one another. So we are praying that things will be stable. 6 years of leadership has saying that there's some stability. We pray that there'll be a point where we don't need the UN forces roaming the cities, roaming around trying to instill peace. We pray that all the forces will come together and move the country forward because war doesn't benefit anybody other than those who are merchants of war.
Is there anything that needs to be reconciled between those that made the choice to leave and those that made the choice to stay?
I didn't experience the war, so for me, reconciliation is not a big issue. Many of my relatives died in the war. My mother died in the war. We never found her body. My father died in the war. Luckily, one of the child soldiers who was a cousin managed to take him to the village and bury him. Reconciliation to me have to do with the people who lived through the war, coming to terms with what they saw, what they felt, and the people who engaged them and did those things to them, and for hopefully forgiving that some of the atrocities were committed by people who did not know what they were doing, especially the children, their own children.
The first time that you went back to your village, what was that like for you?
Again, I didn't know what to expect, because I know the war took its toll in that particular region, the Bond County region of Liberia. That's where Charles Taylor had his headquarters, and the war went through my village, went through my region, and displaced a lot of people. So again, I was going with an open heart to see what I can see. But mostly I'm going to see if I can connect with the spirits of my people, because I thought many of them had died during the war, and a lot of them died. But entering the village and seeing the number of children, the number of people, I know probably 80% of the population is under 30 years old. That makes me feel good. I was happy also to see some of the older people who I grew up with, some of my aunts, some of my uncles still living, and I was pleased by that. And I was extremely pleased that I was part of cleaning the ancestral grove where our great-great-grandfathers are buried. So that opens the door to connect with those spirits.
Your father's home is clearly marked with the family name Woodtor. And we have this wonderful photograph of you sitting there on the front step.
People that some of the things can be important in the future. You should maintain it. I know some of my siblings are talking about breaking the building down and putting up a new structure. They are ashamed of it, or they just want things to be modern. But it's important to keep history alive.